What is up, everybody? So today's video is going to just be talking about food forest installs and also just veggie garden builds. The reason I'm making this video is because I kind of want to show off what me and my wife offer to people in Central Florida, but at the same time I want to motivate people to do this themselves, to start their own veggie garden and start a food forest no matter where you live in the world. But right here, this client had existing garden beds and I deconstructed them all because they were falling apart. After I deconstructed them all, there was still a lot of labor to do. I had to move all the dirt out of the beds and rebuild them from the ground up. You can see there's just a bunch of trash. So this was a lot more work than I thought it would be, but you can see once I got all the beds finished, I went ahead and I put a piece of birch plywood up against the pressure treated wood, because there's a chemical in the pressure treated wood that they use that you do not want getting into your food. This was at the client's request, and I also agree you do not want, I think it's arsenic that's in the pressure treated wood in your food or in your vegetable bed, because plants can uptake that. So not only did I do the birch sheet of plywood, but I also put fabric mat, double-sided, up against that as well to kind of keep out any other stuff trying to leach into the soil. I like to use peat moss, and what I did was I mixed native sand with the peat moss, and that really helps aerate the soil and let the peat moss drain. So here's a bunch of the plants that we brought. This lady wanted her garden beds redone, but she also wanted a lot of container plants, and we planted quite a few things in the ground for her as well. There's a lot of jaboticabas, surinoms, vegetables, moringa tree, a lot of marigolds to companion plant with, a nice fig as a patio fruit. On top of the peat moss, once I got them filled, I went ahead and added some jungle growth. It's just some OMRI, supposed to be organic stuff. I went ahead and topped all the beds off with that, and now we're kind of getting the vegetables lined up where they will grow well together. That bed looks like we got tomatoes with marigolds, and we're going to plant a bunch of green beans around, bush beans, more tomatoes, marigolds. Looks like some squashes or cucumbers, or maybe those are okras. This bed is really cool. There's lots of mint, sage, basil, multiple different kinds of each. Here's a little shot of her pool area where she wanted her patio fruits. There's a miracle fruit tree, citrus tree, rosemary, mulberry tree. And I didn't get the shots in the ground, but we also planted a bunch of jaboticabas in her yard, pineapples all over the place, suriname cherries in the ground. And this is footage from like a week after, 2 weeks after all the growth that came. Overall, the client was very happy with this install. Here we go, did a little install today. We planted 9 mango trees, 7 avocados, and a bunch of other miscellaneous fruits. Over here, we planted a hedge. Barbados cherry, Grimachama, black suriname, Patangatuba, black suriname, Patangatuba, black suriname. Over here we got some more mangoes. 3 mango trees over here. Another mango tree out by the road. And then there's another mango and an avocado down there. I think that one's a super Haas or maybe a Brogdon. We've got some shell gingers, variegated shell gingers over here. Nice Monroe. Nice little Pakistan mulberry. So up here we planted a lemongrass and a Pink's Turk's cap. Also a little society garlic there. Passion fruit going right there. There's awapui all around this tree. He's got some longevity spinach next to the katuk and next to the Okinawa spinach. Here's a nice orange sherbet mango. And for the most part, guys, whenever you plant these trees, if you plant them in the summer, sometimes you never have to water them one time when you give them mulch. Mangoes are one of the best fruits for dry farming that there is. Avocados as well are very drought tolerant, but when it comes to ripening avocados, they need a little bit of water whenever avocados are ripening on the tree. And then over here under the nice oak, there is some star fruit. Another nice grafted star fruit over there. I think it's Carrie and Shriek and Bang. Another Monroe avocado. Here is a nice ginberry. There's already some flowers and some fruit on there. Nice star fruit. So a lot of mulberry varieties to plant. So this client specifically wanted plants planted all around the place, and all the plants still got a good area where they would do well in terms of soil, light, and how easily they would have access to water. So around here we got a bunch of muscadine grapes, and they're going to trellis on the fence. Typically I would have a trellis put up, that's what I would recommend, but this client, he just wanted them to grow on his fence, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're going to grow great. Long term though, grapes get huge. Right over here, these are all gardenias, and these smell so beautiful, so good. Around the 3 gardenias, we put a nice red hybrid there. Red hybrid jabuticaba. Pretty close to the pull cage here. I got a nice rose apple seedling. Peach tree. Another red hybrid jabuticaba. And then we have a couple little bananas here. This is Mona Lisa. This is pink banana. And then Cuban red. So this is called food forest style. In the next 3 years, all these trees, it's kind of hard to tell right now, but in the next 3 years, all these trees will be in a forest. None of this was spaced out. This is how the client wanted. Okay, so on to our next client. This person had a lot of shade in their yard, and they also had a pond in the back. Up front, in one of the more sunnier spots of the whole entire yard, we put a nice sweet tart mango. That's one of our favorites. It's a more dwarf mango, but it produces a lot of mangoes, and the flavor is sweet tart. Right here, you can see next to the pine tree, we have blueberries. And the reason why I put a blueberry bush next to the pine tree is because pine trees, they grow in acidic soil, and blueberries like acidic soil, so that's a good combo. In the middle of the yard, in another kind of sunny area, we did a rose apple. That's kind of like a dooryard tree. And they already had these kind of existing islands where plants were already clumped together. So the client was really cool. She let us rake up all the leaves and make that as our mulch bed. We just added a bunch of plants around there. It's like a food forest kind of island. There's lots of spinaches. That right there is Lagos spinach with lemon drop mangosteens. So that Lagos spinach is annual and will die, and the lemon drops will come up. That is actually a lemon guava. I'm moving the mulch away from the trunk of this tree because it kind of suffocates them. And the mulch is there to keep moisture in, so you don't want too much moisture on the trunk. You want moisture on the roots, not your actual trunk of the plant. And we have more spinaches over there. We planted Okinawas and longevities. Those are great ground covers. Here in this island with previous trees already, we got a ginger plant. We got a nice Brogdon avocado. There we have a Grumachama, a Barbados cherry, and this is like a little cherry section. There's just a little spot on the side of her house where she had room for plants, and so we planted a Suriname cherry as well. So if you or anyone you know in the Central or South Florida areas looking for an install, please let us know.